Welcome everyone to our third Executive Connect Live, and thank you for joining us. I am Kavita Mariappan, Executive Vice President of Customer Experience and Transformation at Zscaler. Today, we're honored to be joined by two industry-leading voices in cybersecurity and digital transformation. Shamim Mohammed is Executive Vice President and Chief Information and Technology Officer at CarMax, and Greg Simpson, a Zscaler advisor, as well as this former CTO of Synchrony Financial. We look forward to your participation in today's conversation about artificial intelligence in the enterprise. Please do add your questions in the comments field, and we will attempt to answer as many of them as possible as Greg, Shamim, and I continue this dialogue. But let's set the stage. A few statistics to get us going. First, Zscaler's recent AI report found almost 90% of enterprises think that Gen AI tools are a security risk. A quarter of our respondents admitted that their organizations are not monitoring Gen AI tools. And we are going to cover these topics, but there's more to AI as we head deeper into year 2 of generative AI and the generative AI revolution. Let's unpack some of this and make sense of it and what it promises for professional productivity, work quality, and creating a secure enterprise. So to kick it off, Greg and Shamim, welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. Shamim, let's kind of start with you. AI has left the browser and it is now everywhere, extremely pervasive. Just a couple of weeks ago at CES, I think it was evident, every presentation touched upon AI, and it was in just about every product category, from PCs to appliances to cars, and right down to talking about new Gen AI models and NPU processors were a massive focus. So what's your take on what we've seen in 2023 that promised to be the year of AI? And now, as it appears to move forward more and more as a general purpose technology in kind of broader industry and community.
Yeah, the 2023 was the year of AI. However, as all of us know, AI has been going on for a long time, right? We've all been working with AI. AI has been incorporated in a lot of our technologies we've been using behind the scene. But what made a big difference in 2023 is the debut of ChatGPT. So the AI became mainstream. And what is the biggest profound change is really how the Gen AI changed the human and computer interaction model. That's really what changed. And that change is going to continue. In my 30 plus years of career in technology, I've never seen anything becoming so popular so quickly and gaining so much momentum. So a lot of excitement in 2023, but I think that momentum will continue and we'll see a lot more innovation in 2024. And Gen AI and AI as a whole bring a lot of possibilities, a lot of exciting opportunities to change the human possibility, work, how we live, how we get things done. I think it also comes with a lot of risk. So it's really the balancing the possibilities with the risk is what we have to be very cognizant of and manage very carefully into 2024 and beyond.
No, I think that's pretty profound, right? If you think about it, the last massive revolution like this that we all kind of went through or lived through was the creation of the internet, and then the possibilities that created and the downside and the risks that it presented, right? And I think with AI and generative AI has been around, as you said, since the 50s, but it's just the element of the human machine cognition and interaction that is so sophisticated now that we're able to really harness what AI can do for us, in terms of the application of like sophisticated machine learning algorithms. So Greg, I wanted to ask you, right, from your experience as a CTO, with large organizations, with GE and Synchrony and the decades of experience that you have some insight on the impact of generative AI, and what it has had on creative work, and what do you believe there is to come? Anything different you see from the yesteryear to the last year to what's coming?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest impacts on creative work it was the writer's strike. So who would have thought that the invention of ChatGPT in November of 2022 would result in Hollywood going on strike in September of 2023. It was pretty dramatic result from a technology being introduced as a prototype to an industry saying, wait a minute, we're on strike. I mean, so the creative world has been very anxious about the capabilities, and for good reason. If you look at the output of something like Midjourney version 1 versus Midjourney version 5.1, or now even Midjourney 6.0, it went from very poor drawing of a human's face to photographic realistic, you can't tell it's not a photograph. So the rate of change in the rate of change of the capability is probably the most dramatic thing. And now it's not just text generation and image generation. Now it's working its way into video generation. So outside of the creative field, if you're worried about, hey, I need some marketing images, wow, talk about a productivity increase.
Right.
You don't need to go do a big photo shoot. Just tell one of your favorite image generation programs to generate the view that you want of the living room you need for your ad, and there it is. So the capabilities are getting better faster and faster, and that's resulted in some ramp up of legal cases, right? How do we do this in a way that respects copyright and so on? So a lot of interesting work in the creative space, for sure.
A lot of intersectionality here with intellectual property rights protection and then and privacy, right? What's out there. It's AI generating what it's generating and infringing upon intellectual property rights, but also how pervasive it is, and in terms of privacy considerations. I mean, it's one thing about AI, I think in general, and generative AI specifically, is it's a fairly academic, philosophical conversation, right? Really gets into so many interesting areas. For purposes of our discussion today, though, I wanted to hone in on the roles that you both have and had, and the conversations and discussions that you're part of, and the companies that you're leading. Let's talk about turning to AI at work, right? And what services, Shami, I'm going to start with you. What's AI services and capabilities are y'all making available at CarMax? And then, what guidelines and guardrails are we setting, you setting up as an organization in terms of use and abuse, right? As we think about it, and kind of reducing the risk from shadow AI, or just, really inadvertent usage that is meant with good faith that could present risk to the organization.
Yeah, Kavita, I think a comment Greg made, kind of interesting. The ChatGPT end of 2022 is when sort of got the attention, and it skyrocketed from there. But at CarMax, actually, we've been using OpenAI and ChatGPT probably at least a year before that. So our teams actually have been experimenting and testing and finding ways to leverage whatever technology is out there to drive great experience. So we're actually an early adopter as it relates to Gen AI, and probably one of the best early use cases, business use case of using Gen AI for driving true business experience. So that's something I think our team, I'm very proud of that work they did. But it's not just an anomaly, right? What happens is, as an organization at CarMax, we've been very laser focused on customer experience. We believe that everything revolves around the experience, whether it's for the customers or even for the associates. So our technology decisions we make and how our teams work really are focusing on driving that experience. Now, the Gen AI happens to be one of the technology that's allowing us to really create differentiated, highly advanced, competitive experience, and we're leveraging that. Now, in terms of risk, definitely it comes with risk. And what we've done is we had a pretty good, robust foundation around data governance, data privacy, education, quality, all those things. So we basically built upon that experience and capability, and we put a very strong AI governance. And part of the AI governance is not necessarily shut down anybody using Gen AI, but more around, hey, we want to use Gen AI to drive business outcome, but let us help you. Let us educate ourselves. Let's make sure we know what are the pitfalls, what are the opportunities, and stay current. So this governance model really helped us, or is helping us, to ensure that we take advantage and we leverage the power of Gen AI or AI evolution while minimizing our risk of all the downside. So the AI governance model is very cross-functional. It's very hierarchical. We have, starting with me, it's a senior level engagement. We have cross-functional team at different levels. We have actually a group within the governance model. They review every use case that somebody wants to take advantage of, whether it's something we want to create or something that we may want to take advantage of one of our platforms or technology partner, third party. So those use cases we evaluate and we provide guidance to our teams in terms of how to best approach it. So we have taken this approach of empowering the users. They know the mission, they know the business outcome goals, but we want to give them the tools and capability and education training so that they feel supported. And we also minimize our risk of some of the downfalls of using AI, privacy, security, being responsible, those things. So it's been fairly effective. I think, but it's rooted to the culture of the company, right? We create a transparent environment where we encourage people, our teams, to come and tell us what they're doing versus, hey, try to do something in the behind the scene, in shadow, because they don't feel like they get the support. So they're having the transparency, AI governance model, and continuous education, I think, is the way we are minimizing the downside of AI risk.
Oh, this is good to hear, right? I mean, I would be curious to hear kind of what interesting, use cases. People talk about it and we say, yep, we're allowing for it. But if there's any interesting use cases or any that you could potentially share that you are seeing, tremendous outcomes or impact with the use of generative AI.
Absolutely. I think, the one that we talk about publicly, and there's case studies done on this, is really around customer reviews and vehicle information. At any given moment, we may have 40, 50, 60,000 cars on our website. And every make model is very unique. And they're changing. So how do we provide a meaningful set of information that's available in an easy to read way to our customers so they can make the best decision for their car? So you're using actually ChatGPT function with our internal data in a hybrid way to create and organize and structure those data about those cars, and then making it available on the website, making it much more easier for our customers to shop. The other thing we are also using Gen AI for is customer reviews. We have reviews from our customers on our website, but those are like different styles, very open form. So what we're doing is using ChatGPT and OpenAI platform, using our actual customer reviews, but using that information to organize the reviews in a way and summarize in a way that's easier for a customer to look at when they're looking at a particular car. Now, by just this is one of the many use cases, but this use case is allowing us to take something that would have taken probably 10, 12 years for a number of content writers to organize this information. We're able to do it in days. Now we have, because of our AI governance and the process we have in place, a human in the loop, this information is not just getting published automatically. We actually are incorporating some of our responsible AI and guidance and core principles of safe use of AI so that this information we can stand behind it, it meets our standard, and it keeps us, make sure we're at the forefront in terms of using responsible AI, although we're using AI to generate all this content. So that's one example. But the other areas I would say quickly, pricing, how we price cars, we're using AI algorithms, where digital merchandising, how the cars are organized and pictures taken, those kind of things. We're using a lot of great algorithm, machine learning technologies to optimize all of those processes within the company. And that's helping our internal associates. The last use case is around code generation. A lot of my engineers are actually experimenting and using Gen AI capability to generate codes. And that's a huge, I'm excited about that because, as you know, there's a scarcity of software engineers everywhere. So if you can free up some time and 10, 20, 30% of the time and generating code through Gen AI capability, they can actually use the time to do other things and grow more, cool things that they can deliver. So
most of us know, like with massive data sets, ETL is where you spend most of your time, right? And so if you're freeing up your data engineers to be able to actually work on more productive, impactful things, then that's awesome. I mean, and Greg, I wanted to, this is great, Shamima. Thank you for sharing those use cases because I think it kind of just, sets the context for what we're really talking about. Greg, picking up from where Shamima left off in terms of like the broad swath of use cases, right? They're from multimodal, multimedia, different types of use cases. We all know turning a lot of this data into, a uniform input, right? So that, you can perform the ETL that you need to perform. And for the right questions to be asked, for these algorithms to do the work that they need to do is fairly tedious and time consuming, and not done right, not training the model right, it's going to result in a ton of false positives, right? So any guidance from you, your thoughts around kind of, we know it's an essential steps, but like as an executive, as a CIO, as a CISO, as a CTO, what should CXOs be thinking about and to help frame kind of the cost benefit analysis around some of these new sanctioned AI projects? Because if you're not sanctioning it, it's happening. So
yeah, there's an old saying, if you're not early, you're late. This is the kind of technology where it's really hard to be right on time and say, well, should I jump in now? Or if you don't jump in now, you're gonna be late. This technology is going at such a fast pace. You can use it today, and as Shameen said, with a human in the loop, there are real use cases that are valuable impacts right now. Software generation is a great example. People are seeing 50% improvement in productivity for software developers that use Gen AI versus don't use Gen AI. These tools are already out there and available. Copilot from Microsoft, for example, for code generation is a great platform for developers. There's a lot of tools that work right now. In terms of the data, the good news is it doesn't have to be that hard. The AI can learn from unstructured data. The key is for people to get a handle around their data and know what data they have in their business and in their industry that's valuable to them so they can use it. Even before Gen AI, getting a hold of all your data and using it for machine learning was a very valuable use case for AI. So, and in many cases, the machine learning didn't need highly structured data. It can work across unstructured data sets. But the key was to get your arms around all that data and make all that data available. So at Synchrony, for example, we built a data lake a number of years ago. And that data lake was really foundational to our ability to launch our initial AI efforts, because our AI efforts, the data is like the food that you feed it with. And that's true with generative AI as well. And the good news is for generative AI, there are tools right now that you can say, here's a URL. Please go pull all the information for that URL and make it something that I can train my model on automatically. Say, here's the URL. So for example, if you've got a bunch of benefits administrators that answer questions on your benefits, and you've got all that documented on a website, you could say, well, here's the website. Now, instead of 3 benefits administrators answering these questions, I'm going to have 1 human in the loop. And guess what? This chatbots can answer these questions. And a lot of the work that's being done right now, they're actually seeing more empathy from the chatbots than they are from the humans, because the humans are often, if you think about the medical profession, the doctor's got 5 minutes to see you. He's got to get in and get out, get the data, move on. Chatbot's got all day. It can talk to you and take questions and listen to your concerns and gather a lot of that data and provide feedback. And then the doctor can use all that summarized data that was collected to then be able to walk in with the information they need and make the diagnosis. So again, the human's in the loop, you want the doctor involved in the diagnosis, but the chatbot could be the bedside manner that you want to help get the information necessary to provide the physician the data they need to move forward. One of the comments in the chat was, wow, maybe we'll have generative AI that can listen into these calls. And in fact, that exists today, right? So you can already listen into your meetings and summarize them when they're done. And so those minutes can get published. And, one of the big things I pushed at Synchrony was smaller meetings. Only have the people in the meeting that really need to be there. There's a lot of people that want to come to the meeting just because they want to hear what's going on. Well, if you've got a tool that's listening and summarizing and publishing the 3 big bullets and actions that came out of the meeting, those other 6 people that came to just to listen can read those 6 bullets in about 30 seconds and free up an hour from their calendar. So these tools are already out there. They're being used. If you're not using them and finding ways to use them in your business, you're already falling behind. So I just encourage you to get started.
Awesome. No, this is good. Let me shift. So with all the good stuff that's happening, And Shamim, has point. I mean, both of you have shared a broad range of use cases and policies, programs, initiatives that you're putting in. You've put in place, or you've seen people put in place. That naturally changes the dynamic of the organization and the structure of how we're managing IT and security policies, right? How we're creating new policies and enforcing new policies. I wanted to, Shamim, kind of, ask you this question around, have you seen kind of the dynamic or the roles or the responsibilities of the budget even shifting between, IT and security in terms of how you're going to manage some of these ongoing, and emerging sort of cybersecurity strategy, right? That's one. Have you seen the threat vector also shift a little bit because you've had, these new technologies? So based on that, what kind of new policies are you starting to form as a result of this? One is allowing them is one thing, but it's like, let's talk about what we're seeing that's incoming. Let's talk about the telemetry that we're seeing, both around, threat mitigation as well as, data loss prevention.
Yeah, I think in the in terms of the just the protecting the data and cybersecurity, all this thing, I think it's an evolution, right? It's really evolving, and this AI concept or conversation is not really I think at the rudimentary level, it's not a technology issue. It's a technology enabler and causing this, it's instigating it, but ultimately it's a business strategy, business conversation. And so this has to be the visibility from the top level all the way across the organization. So that's really the approach we have taken. The cybersecurity and policy and technology stuff, I think the main thing we're looking at is really evolution of a lot of things we had in place already. We know that the threat vectors are increasing. I mean, that even before AI, but AI is really creating those threats exponentially more. And so what's really important is making sure that the policy and governance we had in place around cybersecurity management and data governance, all those things, evolving it and tailoring it to incorporate some of the newer challenges that come with GenAI and AI. Again, a very cross-functional way to look at this. I think one of the important thing we're seeing is the cybersecurity awareness and training. That has always been important, but in that training, we need to incorporate what are the additional risks that are coming in this new AI age. And then from the partner ecosystem, this is where we cannot, not a single organization can manage all the emerging threats from that's coming from AI and Gen AI, because obviously it's exponential growth there. This is where a partner like Zscaler, right, that's innovating and has a global footprint, understanding where all the threats are coming from, and being able to leverage a partner like that is really absolutely critical. A lot more critical now than probably it was even a couple of years ago, because it's around DLP, right? It's around information risk. It's about protecting and making sure that you're training your users so they know what to do and not to do, but people make mistakes without knowing. So being able to monitor and prevent or remind them. I think one of the capability in Zscaler is the inline reminder, right? So when, for example, at CarMax, when somebody uses our device to go to a website, let's say ChatGPT, there's a screen that pops up. It gives them like 3-4 line reminder of what to do or not to do. Or if somebody's trying to share some information that they're not supposed to, right? And then there's a reminder. So we have those automatic protection in addition to human, and making sure they're trained, they're educated, and they're staying current to all the threats. But the partnership between CIO, the technology, the CISO across the company is a lot more important now than it probably has ever been, just because it is a collective effort for the whole organization. It's not just one team. It's not just a CISO's role, or it's not just CIO's role. It's all of our role to ensure we're staying current, staying educated, and taking right measures to protect and manage our business.
Team sport. So
I'd like to throw in 2 more points in that space, I think, because it's a really important point. I think one, even for years now, phishing has been 80% of the major breach problems, right? Mm-hmm. And the reality is generative AI is going to make phishing better, right? So it's, you're not going to be able to look for all the little spelling errors. The words are going to be actually well written, and it's going to sound really important. So I think things like phishing, we have to train our users to resist the phish, resist the click on those links that they're not aware of. So that's a good example where it's the same threat, but it's improving through generative AI. The place where it's getting maybe even more difficult are things like signatures, right? So if you can generate malware, now I can say, well, let's generate 1,000 different variations of this malware so that it's not picked up with that signature. Now I need 1,000 signatures to find all the different variations of this malware. So that's an area where it's compounding, in terms of the number of threats out there. So there's some real threats with generative AI, but often, it's the same sort of protections that we need, like phishing education. So just a couple quick points on that space I wanted to throw in.
No, I think you went exactly where I was going to go in terms of like signatures and iterations around these signatures, right? With just minor coding changes and what problems that pose. To summarize, I think from what both of you have said, user awareness training, we need to keep going. We don't take the user awareness training from last year and go, everybody do it, you're certified, we're compliant. You kind of almost have to evolve your user awareness training to encompass some of the latest, threats that are pervasive or persistent. I think that's one. Fine-grained policy definition, Shamim, like what you said, and then the ability to enforce that so that people don't feel like, oh my God, I did something bad. If I'm seeing things, I need to be educated, and you need to create that closed feedback loop where they're part of kind of your part of keeping the organization safe, right? I think this is, often I think a lot of our user awareness training comes from up above. It's cookie cutter, you do it, you get your certification, you get access to the systems. I think we really need to start thinking about that. Like you said, Greg, the landscape is shifting really quickly, and we don't even know after I get certified, and I've got 12 months of user awareness training that allows me to get access to the systems. What new threat vectors are going to be present in 3 or 6 months? So how do we create that level of vigilance, joint vigilance, right? And then the third thing, one of the things you said was also about joint design partnership, working with your ecosystem and your vendors and your partners, where you're co-innovating, right? And I think this is where no one's got this figured out. No one's got, these are the exact policies that work. These are the exact, processes that work. Everyone's saying we're going to ring fence some of this. We're going to allow this to flourish in a controlled environment. We're going to learn from it, and then we're going to implement, policies where we think things look nefarious or not, right? And continue to work on this. But I think joint design partnership plays a huge role, where you're working with your vendors in terms of the telemetry you're seeing and specifics to use cases, so that people can also develop products and platforms and technologies and solutions that start to address some of this. So that kind of open information or information sharing is critical. We're kind of coming to almost the end in the last few minutes. So I wanted to ask a couple of other questions, and I'll just throw it out to both of you. Let's look at a couple of questions from the audience here. We talked about data loss already. AI capabilities. Let's talk about continuing to cover an expanding set of knowledge work. So you both have kind of touched upon lots of use cases. What types of work in the enterprise do you see are being most susceptible to AI disruption? Kind of a left field question, but
yeah. I think I think every role will have some impact. I think even at the role of my CIO or CTO role, I think there are things, as Greg was mentioning, like some like Office 365 Copilot. I mean, my job, all of our job will somehow be enhanced or impacted. I think the biggest one is going to be like customer service roles, or call center roles, or even software engineering roles. And anywhere we can use GenAI to generate codes or automate or create efficiency and better experience, I think those roles are going to get impacted. But at the same time, I think what's exciting is there's going to be a lot of new roles created. Like we need more AI engineers, we need more data engineers, and those type of roles, we're going to see a huge demand, and we need to make sure we can create and cultivate those talent.
That's a good point.
Yeah, with generative AI, really every employee can become more productive. So I think enabling your employees to leverage these tools, some of your best employees are already doing it, even if you sort of blocked it down inside. They're going outside, trying these tools out and learning how to do things, and they're generating agendas, and they're generating, marketing blurbs, they're generating whatever they need. They're generating PowerPoint pitches automatically and then editing them. So with the human in the loop, you can enable your best employees to become more productive today. And that's across any number of functions, whether it's sales and marketing or engineering, software engineering for sure, with the coding. So I think enabling people, you're at a bigger risk if you don't enable these tools for your employees than if you do. And there are a number of ways to enable them in a safe fashion to protect your data. Whether you use Microsoft in a private tenant, or, in the extreme case, you go get Samba Nova, dedicated hardware in your data center to run a private open source model. I mean, there's lots of ways to protect your data and use these tools effectively in your businesses today.
I think that's accurate, because I think if we've learned anything at all, that when SaaS applications started proliferating, sanctioning folks to use only private applications in your data center was never going to just work. People were going to use the convenience of SaaS applications. Shadow IT was and did happen, right? So I think we've learned anything from that. We learned that this is a good thing, and with good comes the other risks. And this is going to push us. I mean, I'd love to be able to sit here 12 months from now and see what has transpired, right? And what we've all learned and collectively seen. This. Yeah,
I'm a lot older than you. I remember, when VisiCalc was introduced, when I was a co-op student at a manufacturing plant, and they were taking data in big paper ledgers. And I came in as a co-op student and said, well, there's, this computer over in the corner that nobody uses. It's got VisiCalc. I could do this, and suddenly I walk into the manufacturing weekly meeting with reports and graphs of all this data. And they were just like, there's a wizard from the future here. I think generative AI is the same thing. The wizard from the future is here. The people that use it are going to get some incredibly productive things done that people are going to be surprised at. And so take advantage of it, because it's going to be commonplace very, very quickly, much faster than the spreadsheet was adopted.
No, totally. And I think demystifying, this threat around the fact that AI is going to take away jobs. Innovation is going to continue to make us more productive, right? And I think that's part of the growth of us as a community and an industry, to embrace that. Like what Shamim said is, yes, some highly laborious roles may go away because of automation, high levels of automation, but that just means it creates and presents the opportunity for us to retrain and become productive knowledge workers, right? Rather than doing manual work that could have really been done through AI, this speed ups that AI and a lot of the processing technologies out there enable today. So based on that, gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedules. Hopefully our audience found this to be as interesting and inspiring as we did. I certainly did. And given that we've observed, since the launch of OpenAI's ChatGPT last year, generative AI and large language models definitely look poised to make every employee and enterprise, whether or organization, whether it's in the private public sector, more productive in some way or another. But I think it's understated. We need to obviously keep our eyes out for the risks that are going to be associated with it, and plan for how we're going to mitigate these risks. Often, hopefully, before we're presented with these risks. But I think we're getting, today, if anything, presented us with an opportunity to look at what the possibilities are with the use cases and opportunities that we all have, in the space that we all work in. How fantastic is that we get to go do this for a living every day, right? And create technology. So with that, to all of you who have joined us, thank you so much for spending time with us. And until we see you next month or in a couple of weeks for our next Executive Connect Live, you take care and stay safe, everyone.